and tackle on more trauma. So more trauma is continuously being built up. And that's why you may see when people are, in their 20s making these mistakes, and in their 30s and still making these same mistakes when they are in their 20s, and when they're in their 40s, they're making same mistakes as if they were 20 and 30 years old. And we may call those people childish. But yeah, the thing that I have gone through that has helped me and has also helped others. And I want to make sure that we are all supporting each other. And if it was wrong, they find another way to justify why they did it. And they will do it in a way to manipulate you to side with them today. Today, what I need you to do is focus on how I can validate my own damn self without me feeling like I need to find someone else to do that validation for me. That's what, yes, champion, when I say love yourself again, you may have never even explored this.
It's very, very, very powerful, is that there is no love without forgiveness, and there is no forgiveness without love. You need to understand specifically.
Champs out there, this is your girl ADYASHERE. I'm here with UnMutingMe Transformational with Love Coaching. I'm here to give you guys some information and some tips today. Y'all know I always bring the real with the love. And one disclaimer that I always say, if my topics make you uncomfortable, then let's keep talking. So today, I am going to go ahead and put this information out there. I don't know how many views this may get. It may not even get that many, but I want to make sure that I address this, with you. These questions have come to me, and then I realized the ultimate reason of why we put ourselves in detrimental situations is because we do not love ourselves, or we may have a hard time loving ourselves. So I want to talk about that today. So one thing I'm going to tell you, if you are just now tuning in, champions, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You turn on your notifications, and you give this video a thumbs up, and you share this video out with people that need this video. I'm assuming that because you are watching this video, I've either shared it with you, or it may have come across a Facebook page, or you are just visiting and stopping in and seeing what ADYASHERE is talking about. My topic today is why you don't love yourself. I go deep into this work. I go deep into it. I try to find the root of the problem, and I try to help the champions out there. Please, 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 if you know that you need this coaching and this is resonating with you, do not feel afraid to get help. I am here as a coach to help you. So let's get right into it. Oh, and before we even get into that, I have just launched a program about communication and how to level up your communication to have better relationships. You may are having a hard time with asking for a raise at your job. You may have a hard time with the relationship with yourself, and you may have a hard time with relationship with other people. You could be divorced. You could be separated. You could be on the rebound and just searching for different things. I want to make sure that I introduce this program. I'm so excited to offer it. I'm going to put that information at the very bottom. I will be launching the very, very first class on June 17th. If you are on Facebook, you may have seen this, but I'm going to go ahead and put that information at the bottom in the description so you guys can have access to it. You can, and it's super, super affordable. It's only $5.99. So yeah, it's only $5.99. So if you need to hear this information, you make sure that you go ahead and secure that right now, because I am going to be going in on how to level up your communication to have better relationships. Now, without further ado, let's keep going and talk about why you don't love yourself. First thing first, when I talk about why you don't love yourself, let's go into what's really happening. I got one reason for you. I got one reason, the one why for you, and I'm going to give you those sub reasons under that one reason. This is because you have missed out on a particular part of your life as a child. You have missed out on a particular event, milestones, things that happen in your life. You missed out on a lot of that as a child. Like I said in my videos before, our brains are programmed, and a lot of that programming happens between 0, meaning that when you in your mother's womb in the last trimester of her pregnancy, up into about 7 or 8 years old. Usually 7 years old is usually around that time, but between 7 and 8 years old, this is scientifically proven. Neurologists and biologists, a lot of people have already studied this, and it is true. Our brain is constantly at a growing state. And what I mean about the age of 0 to 7 years old, I mean that your brain is usually in a hypnotic state. This does not mean that crazy stuff that you may see on TV. People kind of, you're sleeping, you're all that. It's none of that. It's a program. What you are seeing as a child between the ages of 0 to 7 years old, your brain is programming and downloading that information into your brain. And this is unconsciously done. What I mean about unconsciously. Your mind is either at a conscious state or an subconscious or an unconscious state. A conscious state or a subconscious or unconscious state. And when I mention subconscious and unconscious, I use those words interchangeably, but they mean the exact same thing. So a conscious state and an unconscious state. 95% of your life is programmed at an unconscious state. Meaning that the things that you are doing in your life is programmed 95%. Usually 95% of your life, your day, your everything, your every move from when you wake up and when you go to sleep is done at an unconscious state. 95%. So then that 5% is a conscious state. And those are the things that you want. Those are the things that you desire and you wish to have. But you may have a hard time getting the things that you want. It's because that is done at a conscious state, meaning that you are aware of it. But 95% of your programming is done at a 95% unconscious state. So which one is going to win? The unconscious 95% of your life is done on a habit behavior because, and when I mentioned about the age 0 to 7, that's when a lot of that information is being downloaded in your life. Not saying that you won't stop learning after the age of 7 years old, but majority of the things that happen in your life happens during that time, 0 to 7 years old. Now, why am I saying this in regards to why you don't love yourself? Is because this is the exact reason. When you are a child and you are taking in all this information, you don't really understand the right from the wrong. Your brain is just programming what it sees in this environment, what it hears, what it sees, what it's observing. So when you're at that very, very young state, your brain is so innocent. It's like a hypnotic state, meaning that you are just taking in whatever's there. And that's why when you realize as you get older, around the age late 20s, early 30s, 40s years old, you realize, why am I still in this messed up situation? Why am I not happy? What is going on with my life? What is going on with me? Why am I still where I was 10 years before? You start to have these realizations in your late 20s when your brain is starting to slow down the process of growing and you're starting to reflect a lot, and then the 30s and then the 40s. It usually happens there. Now, let me tell you why you don't love yourself, champion, is because I want to make sure that I'm helping you to understand a little bit about what's going on with you. You have missed a milestone. You have missed something in your childhood that was not addressed. And since that was missed, your brain continuously goes. And it continuously, whether something happens or not in your life, even if you have gone through trauma, your brain still develops over time. Even as you get older, and you may realize that I'm not happy 20 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later. Your brain has missed a milestone. Now, what happens during this time is that when your brain is doing this, that love and that appreciation, that desire, those things that you needed as a child was not met. Those things were not met. Now, let me tell you about this, because I don't want to deem or turn anybody off in saying that you are a bad parent. But what I will say is that sometimes as parents, we don't realize what we're doing and what our children are observing, and that they take in this information and they become the person that they are as an adult. Adults, please hear me. When you're seeing your child behave in a manner or continuously going through something, my biggest suggestion is that I will never say, oh, that child is grown, they make their own choices. Yes, that is true. But it's not easy for a person, even as a 20, 30-year-old, to continuously, of course we know at that time, like, this is not right, but it's hard for us to fix that because a lot of the things that happened to us as a child wasn't addressed. And these things could be traumatizing things that you have missed or you may have witnessed as a child. This could be a mean parent, a mean step parent. You may have witnessed a physical altercation in your household, in your neighborhood. You may have, been around death. You may have been around abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, all these different things that you may have encountered as a child. However, if that's not addressed and if you don't get the help, then your brain continuously goes. Your brain continuously keeps moving. Your brain doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And then when you realize 20 years later, 15 years later, 10 years later, is that now these things are starting to resurface and you realize that, dang, I am really messing up my life and I'm not really happy. I'm in a marriage that I'm not happy with. I keep going back to that abusive woman. I keep going back to that abusive man. I am dating or have always attracted narcissists. Yes, champion, that is true. When you don't get those validations, that affirmation, and that goodness that you should have gotten as a child, you will start to feel the wrath of that as an adult. Yes, champion. You will feel the wrath of that as an adult. Is because what happened is that since you didn't get that, you are trying to get it elsewhere. And the reason why you're not loving yourself and you are attracting these type of people or you're putting yourself in these environments is because you don't love yourself because you didn't get it earlier on. Yes, champion, this is true. Now, one thing I will say, and I told y'all I go in on this information. One thing I will say is that, of course, parents, we make mistakes. But we need to address those mistakes because our children are watching and they are downloading this information. And if we become biased and we start to judge and say, oh, why is my child like this? Why are they doing this? Let's start to think about some things that they could have witnessed or some things that they never got as a child, which can justify the reason of why they are the person that they are now, even as an adult. That's what I want to address, is the reason why you're not loving yourself. Now, here is the blessing from this. The blessing, I want to say that, is because even though you didn't get this as a child and you are an adult now, you can still love yourself. But that means that you need to go back. Now you got to go back and do that healing. You got to go back and, you got to go back and realize what was some things that actually happened. Because when I say about go back, you can't go back and change what happened, but you can start to reflect on the things that did happen and address it in your now. Address it in your now. And that means getting help. Getting help. Yes. Seeking a counselor. Getting a coach. Yes. Yes, champion. You cannot continuously live your life like that because it is going to come with a vengeance. And I speak from the heart. I have lived it. And I will definitely say, of course, I have my father is deceased. My mom is here and I love her dearly, but I had to address these things with my own mom from things that I realized as a child that I didn't get. And one thing I will respect about my own mother is that my mom acknowledges it. She doesn't sweep it under the rug, and she opened arms and embraced me as her child. As a 30-year-old woman, I go to my mom and I express these things about things that I realized that had happened when I was a child, and she embraced it and she recognized this. As parents, please, please, please. If you are making a mistake, your child is going to continuously program it. So if you are with a man that is abusing you or abusing your children, or you are with a woman that is not giving you the love that you need, and you are seeing these things in your household, in your environment, your child is downloading this information unconsciously. So you want to fix that. Meaning that you don't want to continuously make the same mistakes. I'm not saying as humans we don't make mistakes. We will make mistakes. And we will continuously make mistakes because that's how you learn. But learn from the mistake and don't keep doing the same thing. It's because one thing I will say is that sometimes when we don't get that love and validation as a child, and as we grow up and we have our own children, you may start to see the same behavior, pick up some of those similar behaviors that you did not get as a child. And you will continuously have children. That's why when you notice sometimes when you see people yelling at their children, abusing their children, and doing all these things, it's because they didn't get that love and validation and that words from their own parents. And you may continuously keep this same pattern if it's not addressed, and you may start doing this unconsciously with your own children. So, and that's coming from you not recognizing that you don't love yourself. So you got to go back and do the work. You got to go back and do the work. I'm here. I'm here to support you because I love y'all. And I like to make sure that I'm bringing the real with the love. And of course, I know this may be a sensitive topic for people that don't want to hear it, but we need to address it. Because unless we come to love ourselves and do the healing, we are going to continuously destroy ourselves and destroy other people. And we may not even know that we're doing it. We may not even know that we're doing it because we haven't yet understood what's really going on with me and my head. Now, I will say between the ages of 0 and 7, is usually the time when you're programming a lot of this information. However, your brain continuously grows. And if you continuously put yourself in more traumatic situations as you become a teenager, an adolescent, and adult, you start to even tackle on more trauma. So more trauma is continuously being built up. And that's why you may see when people are, in their 20s making these mistakes, and in their 30s and still making these same mistakes when they are in their 20s, and when they're in their 40s, they're making same mistakes as if they were 20 and 30 years old. And we may call those people childish. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm just going to tell you like that. If you are in your phone listening to this, please get out of it. I want to make sure that I am, respecting you and just putting this information out there to bring awareness on why you are having a hard time loving yourself or why you don't love yourself. Check those things and start to get some answers. If you need me, I am a transformational coach. I deal with that all the time. That self-love, getting those validations back. I'm here because one thing I will say is don't unmute what's in your heart. Don't unmute what's in your heart, because if the hurt is there and the trauma is there, don't let it sit there, because the longer it sits, it comes back with a vengeance. And like I said, when you're 7 years old, your brain is still going anyway. So if you're with that narcissist, so I do videos on that. I do videos on narcissists and abuse and how to love yourself, because I find narcissist people are pretty interesting. I find that those people are pretty interesting, but my whole concept is not about narcissists. But I will tell you this, is that I do want to make sure that when I'm reaching out to you guys, is that I am bringing authentic information so it can resonate with you, so you can get the help. Because if you're on this channel and you're looking at it and in your mind, you're like, dang, that's me, then you know that this message was for you. So if you want to come to love yourself, let me help you. I am here. You guys know to visit me on UnMutingMe.com. Y'all can go on there and book me. I have those free one-on-one sessions. I want to serve you. I want to help you. And I go into this work deeply. So if you are dealing with, going back to an abusive relationship, or you are abusing yourself, or you may find yourself like having strong anger issues, let me help you with that, because there's a lot of things that are happening that's not yet come to surface, and it's coming, it's showing outwardly, but we need to address it. And as an adult, you can't change what happened when you are a child, but you can change your now and making a choice and doing something about it. This is ADYASHERE. I'm here. I love y'all. Check me out on Facebook. I've been actually starting to do some live videos there. And I truly, truly encourage you to register for this communication class, the level up communication, because that's also another downfall as well when we come to not love ourselves. It's because we are self-sabotaging, because we have poor communication. And when you have poor communication, that means that you have poor boundaries. And if you have poor boundaries, you don't know how to enforce them. And then it comes back with you actually loving yourself and trusting yourself more. This is ADYASHERE. I love y'all. Please make sure you subscribe. And I'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care. Be blessed.